Did you know Marvel's very first modern supervillain wasn't Doctor Doom or Magneto or even Doc Ock? It was the Mole Man. Welcome back to the deep dive. We are cracking open the Marvel Universe again, digging up the coolest stuff just for you. And today, oh boy, we're not just scratching the surface. We are going deep, burrowing, you might say, into the history of a character who is way, way more complex than maybe his name suggests. The legendary, often underestimated, Mole Man. You think you know him? Get ready. There's a lot here.
Yeah, I was actually really curious when this topic came up. Because, Mole Man,
Yeah.
everyone knows the name, right? Especially as the FF's first bad guy. But his actual comic appearances, they've been kind of sparse sometimes. In certain eras, anyway.
Yeah.
Which makes him like the perfect subject for one of our deep dives. There's so much to unpack.
Exactly. And hey, if you're into weird Marvel villains, classic comics lore, the good stuff, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Seriously, it helps us dig even deeper. Pun totally intended. All right, let's get into it. The man himself. Harvey Rupert Elder. That's his real name.
So what was his deal before he became the Mole Man? What pushed him, underground?
Right, Harvey Rupert Elder. He was an American nuclear engineer, an explorer too. Super intelligent, like genuinely brilliant. But, and it's a sad but, he was short, had a, peculiar appearance, and people were cruel, mocked him, shunned him, especially the scientific community. They just laughed off his whole hollow earth theory, which he was completely obsessed with, believed it totally.
Wow, okay. That's a tough start. Rejected genius.
Yeah.
So how does he actually get down there into the earth? It wasn't just digging, right?
Yeah.
No, not at all. It's a wild story, actually. He somehow snuck into an Explorers Club meeting, overheard these monster hunters talking about a giant simian gorilla. One of those big mutated ape things Marvel loves. Turns out it was being controlled by a deviant warlord named Crow. The deviants, ancient, unstable genetic offshoots, always look kind of monstrous. Anyway, Harvey stows away on their plane heading to Monster Island. That's the one in the Sea of Japan. And while he's exploring, he gets excited and shouts out, and whoops, the ground gives way, falls right down, deep into these old deviant tunnels.
Whoa. Okay, so the fall, that must have changed things big time. What happened to him down there? Physically, mentally?
Oh, absolutely. Huge changes. He landed in this place called the Valley of Diamonds, and the light, just the sheer brightness of it all, combined with his already weak eyesight, we basically blinded him almost completely. But this is where things get interesting. His genius, or maybe madness, kicked in, adapted, developed this kind of electromagnetic radar sense, lets him see in total darkness. And weirdly enough, he got really good with a bow staff, became a decent martial artist. Plus, he figured out some way to slow down his aging.
Okay, that's a packed origin. Tragic, weird, kind of cool with the radar sense. So, given all that comic history, what are they doing with him in the MCU? We've seen hints, right? Sounds like they're taking a really different angle.
Yeah, this is maybe the biggest change. And honestly, I think it's fascinating. The MCU seems to be giving him this really sympathetic origin. Word is he's an old friend of Sue Storm's grandfather, J.F. Storm. And that J.F. Storm actually taught him union organizing skills.
Union organizing? Seriously?
Yeah. And the MCU Mole Man apparently takes those skills underground, uses them to band together the desperate folks living in Subterranea, which is just night and day from the comics, where he was off of this cruel dictator enslaving the Moloids. This MCU version seems to genuinely want what's best for his people. He's fighting human advancement, yeah, but to protect his society, not just out of spite.
Okay, wow. Union leader Mole Man. That's unexpected. So he's down there, he's transformed, he's leading. What's his kingdom like?
Yeah.
Subterranea. And how does he control all those massive monsters we know he has?
Subterranea itself is huge. It's this massive network of tunnels, caverns, a lot of it built by the Deviants ages ago. Mole Man got his hands on a lot of their abandoned tech. And crucially, he figured out how to control the monstrous creatures, the mutates they left behind. That's basically his army. And it's not just the one Monster Island either. He found a second one in the Caribbean. So double the monsters.
Double the monsters. Okay. And the Moloids. Gotta talk about the Moloids. They're so iconic. What's their story?
Oh yeah, the Moloids. Can't forget them.
Yeah.
In the comics, they were basically an abandoned deviant servant race. Classically, they're depicted as these small, yellow-skinned gnome creatures. The look.
Yeah, totally.
The MCU, though, looks like they've redesigned them. They seem more like regular, kind of stooped humans wearing mining gear. Which fits, right. It lines up perfectly with that new sympathetic angle. He's their caring leader now, not some slave driver.
Right, makes sense. And the big monsters, like Giganto. We saw that flash in the First Steps teaser.
Yeah, the giant monsters. Good news for fans. Those seem pretty much comic accurate. Giganto, Fin Fang Foam. There's still the huge, terrifying threats. But it's worth remembering, Subterranea isn't just Mole Man and Moloids. It's a whole hidden world down there. You've got other races, like the Tyrannos, who were enslaved by Tyrannus, another underground ruler, and the Lava Men. Can't forget them. Plus the Netherworlders, ruled by Queen Kala. It's a busy place under our feet. Man, it really is a whole other world. Okay, let's talk history. He was the first Fantastic Four #1. That's huge for Marvel history, isn't it? He literally started it all for the modern age.
It absolutely is. Think about it. Before Doom, before Magneto, before any of the big names we think of, the very first supervillain the heroes faced in the Marvel Age was Mole Man. Simple as that. His first move. Sinking power plants, military bases, trying to hurt the surface world. That's what brought him up against the FFE. What's always interested me, though, is how much he preferred to stay underground back then. He didn't come up to the surface very often. Made him kind of unique.
Does he have any big weaknesses? Besides, maybe being a bit sensitive about his height?
Well, yeah, there's that. But his main physical weakness is light. Extreme sensitivity to it. That's why he wears those visors, those goggles. They're essential for him. Sue Richards actually used that against him early on. Ripped off his goggles, totally incapacitated him. It's a real vulnerability. Okay. Makes sense for someone adapted to darkness. So let's dig into some key stories. Because he's been in some really interesting ones, right? Shows different sides of him.
Oh, definitely. He's not just a one-note guy. Take The Madness of the Mole Man. That's Fantastic Four, #89. He blinds the FF and his plan. Blind the entire world.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it really drives home his motivation, right? He was shunned, outcast by the surface world. So he wants everyone else to experience his darkness, his reality.
That's pretty dark. A far cry from just wanting to be left alone.
Totally. And then you have Inferno from FF264.
Yeah.
That one's actually really sad. His whole underground society of outcasts gets wiped out by a bomb. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And that tragedy actually makes him team up temporarily with the Fantastic Four against whoever did it, which is like, whoa, a big moment for him.
Working with the FF.
Okay. But then it gets even darker. There's this Daredevil story, Underworld Unleashed, issues 9 and 10 of Volume 3. He's stealing graves, digging up coffins. It's super disturbing. He's obsessively looking for the body of this woman, Lorna, who he loved but who didn't love him back. It's creepy, kind of gothic. And the fight with Daredevil is fascinating, both blind, relying on other senses. Really cool matchup.
A heartbroken grave-robbing Mole Man. Seriously, that adds a whole other layer I wasn't expecting.
Right. The emotional depth is surprising. And then there's Where the Sun Dares Not Shine, FF127128. I think this is maybe his most empathetic story. He gets his heart broken, like really broken, when Queen Kala of the Netherworld betrays him to team up with Tyrannus. And he's so sad, so devastated that when the FF are there trying to stop him earlier, he just lets them go, unharmed, pure vulnerability.
Wow, from wanting to blind the world to just letting his enemies walk away out of sadness. That's quite a range.
It really is. But maybe his greatest story, the one that captures all that complexity, is Nightlife. Fantastic Four Annual #13. Here, he's kidnapping people, including Alicia Masters, and stealing stuff, artworks, buildings.
Okay, sounds like classic villain stuff.
But wait. His goal is to build an underground utopia, a city just for ugly outcasts, people rejected by the surface world. He wants a peaceful place for them. And what's amazing is, by the end of the story, the FF and Mole Man actually part on good terms. They kind of understand him. It shows the tragedy, right? Even when he's trying to do something arguably good, build a haven, his methods are still about compulsion, kidnapping. That initial trauma still shapes everything.
Fascinating, a utopian kidnapper. So he's tangled with more than just the FF, right? Other villains, other heroes.
Oh, absolutely. He's got this long-running kind of petty feud with Tyrannus, mostly over the Fountain of Youth down there.
Yeah.
He even managed to mesmerize Tyrannus into being his servant for a while.
No way.
Yep. And he's had temporary team-ups, with the Red Ghost, for instance. He was even married to Queen Kala for a bit, before she betrayed him. But maybe the weirdest, he once got Spider-Man to help him out during something called the Subterranean Olympics, don't ask.
Subterranean Olympics. Okay, adding that to the list of things I need to read.
But of course, being an early villain, he definitely got manipulated by Dr. Doom at least once. His connections run surprisingly deep in the Marvel Universe.
Okay, so putting it all together, is he just a joke? Because, the name, the look sometimes. Or is he a genuine threat? Maybe something more complex. What's the final verdict?
He is absolutely more than a joke. No question. Yeah, early comics sometimes played him as this, like, waha, world domination kind of guy, a caricature. But later stories, they really dug in, showed his depth, moved him way beyond that. Think about the range we just talked about. Dark obsession in that Daredevil story, deep sadness when Caleb betrayed him, even that weird, misguided attempt at altruism in nightlife. It almost always comes back to him being an outcast, right? Feeling rejected by the surface. And that leads him to lash out or try to build his own world away from it all. He's really a tragic figure, kind of caught between these two worlds, surface and subterranean.
Yeah, that need for acceptance, or maybe just safety from rejection, driving him to either attack or isolate. That's really compelling, especially for a character people might just write off. Makes you rethink the whole villain label sometimes. All right, let's get to the big one. The MCU. We saw Giganto in the Fantastic Four, First Steps teasers. Is this finally Mole Man's moment? Is he going to get that nuanced portrayal on the big screen?
It really looks like it could be. Fantastic Four. First Steps drops July 25th, right? Yeah. And we got that first look at Mole Man. Looks like Paul Walter Hauser playing him, which is amazing casting.
Yeah, great choice.
And there's even that tie-in comic, Fantastic Four, First Steps and Anthem #1. It shows the team's first mission against Mole Man and Giganto, and it uses Hauser's likeness, confirming it's movie canon.
Yeah.
It lines up with the film's story. So, yeah, he's definitely in it.
Okay, cool. And the look, his redesign, the moloids, staying true to the comics or something new?
His look seems like a really grounded, realistic take on the classic jumpsuit, but with practical stuff like welding goggles, a green overcoat over a suit and tie. Looks functional. The moloids, like we said, got a bigger makeover, less yellow gnomes, more like regular people in mining gear. Fits that carrying leader vibe.
Right.
But the giant monsters, Gigano and Pal, they look pretty much comic accurate, which I think fans are going to love. Huge win there.
So this is really a massive reinvention, isn't it? Leaning so hard into the sympathetic side, making him almost an ally.
That sympathetic origin. Yeah, and how they're reframing his role. That's the biggest change of all for the MCU version. He's potentially shifting from just villain of the week to maybe a Fantastic Four ally, a friend even. Think about the implications. He's not just someone to punch. He's a leader, maybe someone they need to have diplomatic ties with. This completely reimagined version. It definitely sets him up for more appearances, maybe becoming part of the wider FF family in the MCU, which is honestly super exciting for a character who's been kind of sidelined for so long.
And that is our deep dive into the Mole Man. Seriously, who knew? Marvel's very first supervillain, holding so much complexity, so much surprising depth, from that shunned explorer to this empathetic, maybe misguided, but definitely complex underground king. He's a really fascinating, tragic figure.
Yeah, his legacy is way more complicated than you'd think at first glance.
Yeah.
Moves from that classic bad guy to someone really tragic, even trying to do good in his own warped way sometimes. It just shows, how much potential there is, even in those really early, seemingly simple characters, if you give them the right stories.
Totally. So if you made it this far with us down the tunnels, you are officially part of the Molaire Army. Go on, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. And definitely let us know in the comments, who do you think is Marvel's most underrated villain? And thinking about Harvey Elder, how being an outcast basically forged him into who he became. What other overlooked, maybe ugly villain in Marvel's huge roster do you think really deserves their own sympathetic origin story next? Let us know.